Oh, sorry. I forgot my mic's on. Getting ready for this sausage stream. One of at least two for now. Discord. Mm-hmm. I suppose I could check. I'm not even sure. Does my audio work on when? Yes. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. Ads are starting in a few minutes. I guess I'll wait till after that to get started. In the meantime, I'll promote around. What is going on? Okay, there we go. Demystify, demystify sausage. Oh, ballerina. I haven't seen that. I can promote a lot of places. Why not? Okie doke. Hopefully the streaming OBS will tell me if ads are still going when I come back over here to the streaming place. Let's see. Hey, Shane. I don't know when he came in. Is that this raid? Like it shows, I don't know if it's from last stream. The me rating out, which I did to game night Friday. Oh, those chests I think were from game night. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna get going on this stream and hope that the ads are not present for those of you who are not subscribed, unlike Handout. Alright, where do I start? I'm going to be today cutting up this pork butt I have, getting it seasoned up for 2 types of sausage. A breakfast sausage, which a bunch of my friends in the Tadpole community have tried, and I make regularly to keep in the house. And I decided to go with an Italian for the second bit. I've got my scale, because I will be scaling down the recipes and need to adjust the seasoning for that. So I'll talk about a lot of things, the seasonings, the grinder, and alternatives to that kind of thing. I know that I had some questions about it in the Discord. Yeah, okay. First things first, if you're going to buy one book about sausage making, it should be this book. Sorry about the sunlight being a problem. Jeez. Okay, this way? This way. It's Great Sausage Recipes and Meat Curing by Rytek Kutis. I have a newer copy. This is my beat up one I know is gonna have a problem before too long. Because I was able to visit the sausage factory where I get a lot of my supplies for sausage making. It's back up in my hometown of Buffalo. It's where my dad got stuff. My dad bought me this book many years ago, and it's a great Bible of any kind of sausage you would want to make and old recipes, information about, dry curing, history. That's my sausage Bible. Both recipes for seasoning I'll be doing today are going to come from this book. I'm not using any that have a curing agent in them. When I sometimes, use pink salt or Insecure or Proud Powder, whatever you want to call it, in some of my products, but not generally in the sausages I make most often. I have a grinder. It's awesome. This is, again, it's from the Sausage Maker. Big unit. And boy, that makes it really quick and easy and beautiful. Before that, I used an attachment for my KitchenAid, which for grinding works great. I really love that. Even if you're just grinding your own hamburger so that you can get a coarser grind than your grocery store might have available on the regular, the KitchenAid grinder is great. I also have a KitchenAid stuffer. I'm not stuffing today. Tomorrow or the next day, I'll be doing a stream where I'm going to stuff sausage. I might wait until Wednesday because apparently that's my streaming anniversary. I don't know how many years. I'll figure that when I schedule it. I got a notice on Twitch earlier about that. And I have a stuffer for that. And I have a stuffing attachment for my KitchenAid. And oof, it's hard. After seeing people using handheld plunger type stuffers, I might suggest that over the one for the KitchenAid. So, in my experience, the grinder's great. The stuffer was very, very persnickety. compared to the kind of stuffer I have, which I'll talk about another day. So, I guess I should put this, no, this way. You see the grinder? Here we go. Here's the bowl grinder. It's so dark I can't see it. But, so it comes with these attachments. This will go in there, but I want to assemble it first. So, it's got an auger, a big squirty cue. I put this in the right way. My brain is not fully functional. And then a blade. First time I put this together, I put it together wrong. This is what actually cuts your sausage, like into smaller pieces, and then it is pushed by the auger through to your grinding plate, which come in different sizes. This is a finer grind. This is a very coarse grind, obviously. I'm going to use like this medium-ish one today. But the blade goes first, and it goes, and it locks onto this square part here. And you want the blades facing toward the sieve type thing. So I tighten this. And it goes, so it's sticking out of the grinder here. Loosen it's got a little twisty bit to tighten it like a KitchenAid does, so I'm going to get in there securely. And then this big dish goes up on top, and that's where we're going to feed our bits of meat, which will go down the tube and in the grinder and come out into the bowl. If you can't see, but this has different speeds on it. When you start it, it starts at like 6, which is sufficient. You can go slower if you're worried about it heating your meat. You do want your meat to generally be cold. Some people partly freeze it so it doesn't shred the meat as much as grind it. You can, I'm going to start cutting up the meat. And wipe my hands. Again, I'm sorry about this light. There's nothing I can do. The sun's just coming in. When you cut up your meat, you can, and this is just a bone-in pork butt. You want to put it in cubes, like, 2-inch cubes. You can separate it out into the lean parts and the fattier parts. If you're doing something like a venison sausage where it's got zero, fat of its own and you're adding pork fat, you can grind the fatty part and the lean part at different coarseness. I'm not doing that today for any of the sausage I'm making. I'm doing, an Italian and a breakfast sausage. And I'm going to make both spicy because that's how we like it here. But when I do a Polish, like a kielbasa, I do the separate grinding of the lean and the fatty parts. With several experiments and it not turning out, the texture having a texture I preferred, I did some research in the sausage Bible there and found that counterintuitively to what I thought you would do like the meat as a coarser grind and the fat as a fine grind, but it's in fact works the other way around to get the texture I prefer for my kielbasa. But you do a fine grind on the leaner parts and a coarse grind, or which way around? Yeah, fine around on the lean parts and a bigger grind, a coarser grind for the fatty parts. And that gives you like a little variance in texture that really makes the sausage pop when you're eating it, especially after if you smoke it like I often do with kielbasa. Um, Now these silver skin stringy parts are going to end up caught up in the blade and the plate at the end, and that's fine. It makes it a little harder to push through, and it's another reason to have things cold when you're grinding them. So I'm going to get as much of this off as I can. You can get, of course, a boneless pork butt. You can choose to not grind your own meat, and I'm going to go through that today because I do want my streams to have stuff for you to just be able to make and have something you can eat at the end of it. Hydroid Insani Thai. What kind of sausage am I making? I'm going to make pork sausages. I'm going to make a breakfast type sausage with sage and such in it. And the other I'm going to make is an Italian, a hot Italian. I do have a family recipe for Italian, but I'm going to use the one from the Great Sausage Recipes book. That is quite good. I think the one I got from my great-grandfather, well, from my father through, it was like his father or grandfather's. I don't have that. I don't know where that piece of paper is right now, frankly. And I believe it was almost exactly the same as the one from the meat curing book. Sometimes I just make the breakfast sausage seasoning, and I've gifted it to people in the past. I know I sent some to Brian Ibbett and Scott Johnson and maybe some other people that had some of my sausage I brought to a meetup, and it's nice because I can put that in little baggies and then just with instructions on it, like get a pound of meat. You can buy ground pork at the grocery store. Almost every grocery store has it. And put about 2 tablespoons in a pound of meat and a splash of water, a couple tablespoons, and mix it up and fry it up, and you're good to go. So I'm going to be stuffing sausages another day, but this breakfast sausage I'm making today, you can absolutely just cook up patties of it. You can make sausage gravy with it. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll take patties and put them on a cookie sheet and cook them in the oven, and then freeze them on a sheet, and then I can just toss them all into a baggie in the freezer, and then I've got sausage patties that I can just nuke or whatever on the go for breakfast. So I really want to make this accessible. And I figured Italian rather than Polish. I have uses for like a loose Polish sausage with casseroles, but I figured Italian was another one that would be good for people to just make at home. Again, you can just buy some ground pork, season it up, and then you want a nice sharp knife for this, by the way, which is why I'm using one of my steel ones that I like. I make my lasagna with loose Italian rather than ground beef. You can also make like long patties and put them on a roll and make like an Italian sub with it. I know that's a Buffalo restaurant thing. They have a Taste of Buffalo here in Cornelius too. That kind of application. So you can make and enjoy really awesome sausage, fresh, from scratch and not have to, be concerned and have special equipment and stuff it into casings and all of those things that I will do and talk about another day. So hopefully this isn't too screamingly loud at you guys. I'm just going to use the back of a spoon to push this down. But let's get this ground up. And then I'll split it into different batches to mix up for the breakfast sausage and for the Italian sausage. And if this is too loud, let me know. And again, welcome in. Let me know how you found the stream today. And that's pretty loud, but it's not intolerable, right? Right. Oh, wait. So, I cut this. I have some small pieces, but I didn't actually cube up the rest of it. That's not good. Sorry, I am in a lot of pain today. I'm only doing this because I had already thawed this butt, and I really wanted to get this going and share this with you guys. I definitely recommend getting it all into the pieces you want to put into your grinder because it'll go fast once it's going, especially if you're using this kind. The KitchenAid attachment is, of course, a little slower. I recommend kind of going at a medium speed in either case. If you go too quickly, it heats up the meat, which makes it smeary and shreds more than grinds into a nice texture. And also tends to stick more inside your mechanism if the meat's warm. So you want to be quick about it. Like I said, a lot of people, I'm going to pull off some of that silver skin, refrigerate their meat after cutting it up. You can even season it. Season like the cubed meat. And then run it through the grinder all together and it blends at the same time. But with doing two different kinds, that would involve cleaning the whole mechanism in between, and that's not practical for me today. This pork butt was, I think, about 8 pounds. But I mean, the bone was in there, so we'll see what we get. The recipes in the book are for 10 pounds, and I'll be able to, once I weigh this, split it into about the amounts I want for each type, and then adjust the seasoning. I mean, it's just some simple math, and it doesn't have to be super precise. And if you know what you like, you can, of course, adjust any of the recipes for liking stuff a little more. I mean, some people hate sage. There's some surprising ingredients in the breakfast sausage, but boy, it's good. I would have never, I think, picked it out on my own if I had not seen the recipe when I started making my own. That, like, nutmeg is kind of a key ingredient that makes breakfast sausage what it is. I mean, sage is a little more obvious. Sage is a funny thing. A lot of people, I think they hate sage, but then they realize, oh, but I love poultry seasoning. Well, that's got sage. Oh, I love breakfast sausage. That has sage. Maybe it's just that it accompanies better with other things. Because on its own, I mean, if you made a tea with it or something, it's kind of just tastes like dirt. Did you just hear my stomach growl? That's ridiculous. That should not be happening. Yeah, this is a little warmer than I like it, so this grind will be a little messy, but that's fine. We're just home cooks here. I got the dates for my date to start for Factual Foodie. You can follow Chef John Lee Young, who's hosting the competition, to find out all of the dates. I believe January 25th is my first competition date. I'm going against, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name right now. I just started following you yesterday. Well, anyway, I'm going against another streamer, food streamer, and we've been given a theme, which is a meal for Baz Luhrmann, Australian food. So I've started research on that. I got to talk to them about the judging criteria. Like, I want to know how it's weighted for presentation. I mean, obviously no one can taste the food, but I'm sure the judges are going to be people that understand food enough to know if what you made is going to be good. But given that it mentions Baz Luhrmann, and I'm familiar with his artistic works in movies and stuff, I have some silly ideas for dressing up. I suppose I shouldn't be talking about that on a public stream when I have a competitor. But, let me sit down for the rest of this. I'm having a not very good pain day, which is why this almost didn't happen. But he's a fascinating guy. Most of the other parts of the competition have some kind of mention of a theme with the cooking. They refer to like a mob boss. One doesn't. It's like, are you tongue-tied, and it's Thai food. So that's pretty wide open. So I don't expect things to be weighted all that much toward whether they think the person that we're cooking for would like it. Like the mob boss one is just Italian-American food. But I hope not, because it would be, I don't know, not entirely fair to give us that extra bit of challenge of thinking about who's getting it. And I'm fine doing that because I'm a nerd like that. I'm definitely going to be watching more Baz Luhrmann stuff. I listened to his awesome song-ish, where it's a narration of a graduation speech he gave. It's called Everyone is Free to Wear Sunscreen. I recommend looking it up. It's amazing and funny. Okay. Shut up and grind, I think. And I will mute my mic for this for you guys, because yike, right? Hopefully that works. Boop. Okay. All right. All ground up. I am going to put this in the fridge for a minute before we grind, and then I'll come back to talk to you about the microphone that I just threw on the floor. Steak. And of course, wash my hands. Go away, cat. The cat's after my microphone. I have to find another piece of microphone because it's magnetic. So the other piece was like inside my shirt. I'm just gonna put this cloth over here for sanitation reasons. I may have to switch mics. Because the magnetic piece that holds this one on my shirt fell somewhere. It's very, very not convenient. Okay, let's switch this. And so charger for now, I guess. Hello, hello? Yes. All right. Yeah, I'm going to put that in the fridge for a little bit while we talk about and get some seasonings prepared. And let you know something, another thing I didn't do. So when you saw the sausage coming out, you know, when you buy ground meat in the grocery store, you know, it comes out in those tidy ropes that you see in the package, right? And this had a little smooshing, I'll say, going on. That was my bad. Sorry. Was something I did not do, which along with chilled meat, put these parts in the fridge or in the freezer before you start, and you'll get a tidier grind and a cleaner grind. And I neglected to do that because I was, you know, watching the morning stream and setting up stream here at the same time, and got some pain brain, so everything wasn't, you know, as smart as it could be. But I'll show you. Let's get over here again. All that stuff is like silver skin and tendons that end up being pulled out by the process of the auger and the cut and the push through. And the other thing that occurred to me while I was grinding to say is, if you don't have any kind of grinder, KitchenAid, you know, that you can get an attachment for, which are not cheap, or a grinder like this, which I think this only runs like $100. I got it in the mail one day from my dad, which was awesome. And it makes things much quicker and easier. You can just use a knife or a butcher cleaver, like 2 cleavers works really well to just and make mincemeat, and you can totally spice that like a sausage and it'll be fine. You can do that to make your own hamburger if you want. Okay, so the first one I'm making is a breakfast Polish sausage. Again, this recipe is from my Falling Apart Messy Great Sausage Recipes and Meat Curing book by Wojtek Kutas. And so the smallest one here is for 10 pounds. There's a good chance I'll be doing somewhere near 5 of the breakfast sausage. Like maybe 5 of each, but maybe 4 of each. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the seasoning for 10 pounds, and then I'll figure out the math after I weigh the meat. So let's see. I'm gonna put something in. I had 4 tablespoons of salt. I use kosher salt. It doesn't specify that, but I'm kind of always okay with that because it tends to, because the grains are so big, be a little less salty in a lot of recipes, and I generally like to go a little less salty. A tablespoon of ground white pepper. That's ginger. White pepper is another wonderful secret ingredient if you want to learn to make Chinese food. It's the secret, and it definitely makes a difference in this breakfast sausage recipe. It's very different than black pepper. Let's see. That's about a tablespoon. 2 tablespoons of rubbed sage. I have sage from my garden that I dry and then run through basically a coffee grinder that I have a separate one for grinding spices. And boy, fresh sage is one of the things, of all you're supposed to throw them out after a little while, spices. I do that with very little. I mean, I also go through a lot because of making things like this. But I do have stuff that's sat in the cupboard for a couple years. And the more volatile ones I make sure to keep in the dark. But boy, sage really does lose potency in a way I didn't realize until I started growing it. The first Thanksgiving dinner with fresh sage rather than just the sage and poultry seasonings I had in the cupboard was different enough that I am definitely more careful about the storage of my sage and will probably keep growing it forever. Teaspoon of ginger. And this is a little, oops, I'm going to make a big mess here, it's fine. Ginger is another, like ginger and nutmeg is in breakfast sausage? Yes. Yes, it is. Once you make this and you taste it, it makes such perfect sense, and it tastes like, really good breakfast sausage you've had. It's the other thing along with the nutmeg that you didn't really realize was in there. Where's the nutmeg? I do recommend grinding nutmeg fresh generally, but, and it's got a whole tablespoon in it. I'm kind of careful with it because it is about the oils, and so I keep it in the dark. Because grinding a tablespoon from a fresh nutmeg is a little daunting. If it's going to keep you from doing it, go ahead and use the stuff from a jar. Ginger, nutmeg, thyme, tablespoon of thyme. I'm going to use thyme out of a jar right now, even though I do grow thyme. And I just don't have any dried left right now. I used it all up. All I have dried is lemon thyme, which I do not want to put in this. Tablespoon of ground red hot pepper. I'm going to put a little less than a tablespoon because I do have that white pepper gives it some heat. And although we like it spicy, the last time I used the full amount of cayenne in this, it was a little much even for me. Especially because I like to use it in like making sausage gravy. With your own sausage is amazing. And I really like the black pepper to shine when I'm making sausage gravy for gravy and biscuits, which I don't make very often, honestly. But when I do, it's really, really special. So I'm going to mix this all up because when you blend it with the meat, you want it to blend evenly. And there's water. I don't know if you can see the recipe book. Probably not because of the glare. The water is something we'll mix with the meat and the spices. And it'll basically hydrate the spices. It helps you blend it evenly, and then it helps hydrate the spices. And you can spice and grind right away. I'm going to, after we mix all of this up, I'm going to cook a little to taste it, to see if I want to adjust it before I do any stuffing on the next stream. And Yeah. It'll sit overnight with the spices in the meat, which it doesn't hurt. You don't have to do it before you stuff. But if you immediately season and then stuff your sausage, or want to season and eat it, keep in mind you do want to give it a little bit of time for those spices to hydrate before you're going to get the full flavor. Don't assume, oh no, it's not spicy at all when that cayenne needs a little time to bloom. Okay, so there's our breakfast seasoning mix. Next is going to be, not sweet Italian, hot Italian. This says mild hot. Why does it say mild hot? What does that mean? I'm going to grab mortar and pestle quick because I need cracked fennel for this. And I want to get the grinder out of the way so we have room to measure and cook things. Mortar and pestle. I have to wipe this out. It's got a little stuff. I think I made poultry seasoning with that instead of using the grinder last. So, not going to hurt anything. Okay. 4 tablespoons of salt for 10 pounds. Again, 10-pound measure worth of seasoning. And what I don't use, I will mark with how much is in there, how many pounds worth I use so that I can redo the math next batch. Or just, break it out like I do with breakfast sausage. Keep it in a jar, and I know I need about 2 tablespoons a pound. Has generally worked for doing small batches or single batches. And I could always quick whip up some Italian to make a lasagna if all the rest of mine is in casings or something, which I'll case up most of it next time I do the stream. This takes a lot more water than the other recipe. Not sure why, but I'm not dumping it in spices. A tablespoon of cracked fennel seed. So I'm not going to completely obliterate this. I mean, obviously, when you have Italian sausage, it's got these little fennel seeds in there. It's a good Italian. I'm going to put a little extra. I wasn't happy with, it wasn't enough last time for my taste and my family's taste. But a tablespoon's pretty standard. So I'm not completely obliterating, but I am cracking it. This is another, if you're worried about your spices going bad because you don't use them often, anything that's whole seed, like coriander if you don't use a lot, and fennel if you don't use a lot, and caraway if you don't use a lot, is just get the whole seed. Because it's when you start to break it up, or if you toast it, you can toast spices a lot of times before you use them, like when you're making a curry. That's when it really brings those flavors out, and they're kind of protected by the shell from the kind of deterioration of just exposure to air within the bottle. Okay, so cracked that up a bit. Coarse black pepper. That's 2 teaspoons. That was time. Look at it, I screwed that up. Let's not have time in our... well, there's going to be a little time in our Italian. I think I got most of it. Brilliant. Of course, black pepper. I got most of it out. It's fine. 2 teaspoons. Of course, black pepper. Jeez Louise. Tablespoon of sugar. I forgot to bring the sugar out. Do I have a sugar? I do. I've got a small thing of sugar. I got a new vacuum sealer for sealing mason jars. Yesterday I was testing it, and I haven't done the sugar yet, but my top to this one's kind of had it rusty, so I think I'm going to retire this. There's a little more sugar container for a big old mason jar, but I think I might want to go get a half-gallon mason jar, because I tend to buy bigger things of sugar. Tablespoon of crushed red pepper. Close enough. We like our Italian pretty spicy. And that's the one thing I find, even in a hot Italian blend of spices, it doesn't always come through as strongly as I want. You can, of course, completely eliminate it, and then it's a sweet Italian. I'm going to see. If you make a sweet Italian, it looks like you want to put in a little more sugar, a little more fennel, a good bit more caraway, like a tablespoons of a teaspoon. Oh no, that's right. Never mind. Mild, skip the cayenne, period. I'm talking too much. Teaspoon of caraway seeds. It does not say to crush these, but I'm going to give them a little bit of a bashing. Because it's another thing that I didn't really get the flavor coming out as much as I wanted the last batch I made. Some of these seeds will get crushed when you're, if you, you don't have to do this at all if you are gonna season your meat before grinding it, because when it goes through the grinder with the meat, it'll smush up a bit. Coriander. Tablespoon of coriander. Gosh, I love coriander. My tablespoon is gonna fit in this, so I'm gonna just do 2-3 teaspoons to get this as accurate as I can. Yes, there are 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. 3. Okay. Salt, fennel, coarse black pepper, sugar, crushed red pepper, caraway, coriander. And that's your Italian sausage seasoning. Oh, boy, it smells good here, huh? But you wouldn't know, but I wish you could know. And, you know, if you want a sample, and if you're in my Discord, I gotta think about that. Maybe I'll start with the next giveaway. I'm just a few followers away. I might not even be able to check my followers today. When I hit 200, I'm gonna give away another cookbook from my giant list of cookbooks I have. And maybe I'll send a little bonus of a packet of sausage seasoning for you to be able to make a little breakfast sausage at home. Test my recipes. Okay, so I'm going to kind of leave this out because I need to keep in mind the amount of water. I do have ice water here that I'm going to want to mix into my sausage. But for now, I'm going to get out my scale and get this meat separated into the batches. Oh, I'm gonna have some V8 after stream. I'm thirsty. And I feel like my body needs vegetables. Okay. Look at a giant bowl of meat, everybody. Alright, here's my scale. This is not a very expensive scale, it's just a Taylor. If it doesn't go on right now, I'm going to be really annoyed. Seriously? we might have a problem. I mean, I can guesstimate. Will that make you feel more confident about making your own sausage, folks? Shit. I almost bought AAA batteries the other day, and I was like, oh, I never use AAAs hardly at all. I don't need any right now. I put them in something. Thought I didn't need any more. Oh, heck. I would recommend guesstimating this if you're not experienced with doing it. Hey, do you have any AAA batteries?
Not on my desk.
Okay. Alright, let me go with the manual scale. So there's always that. I had to tell my stepmother that I'm actually using this cool, weird male scale for my stream right now. She didn't want to give it up. She thought it was antique and she loved it. And then we looked and it was like, oh, it's like made in the 80s. She said, oh, go take it then. But how neat, right? I'm going to use a male scale. So I got to calibrate this. It's at 0, right on. I'm sorry you can't see this right now. You can sort of see it. I'll move it forward. But you can't see the dial. So the tare is... Well, this is interesting. So this is ounces, it must be. 246 a half. Yeah. No, that's pound. Okay. Wow, this bowl weighs 1.25 pounds. Let me see if that goes back to 0. Not quite. If you ever use a manual scale, it's got a little dial under the plate for calibration. Yeah. Model Y10, November 1st, 1981. So it's just under 1.25. And it kept tare. So I just have to subtract 1.25 pounds from whatever my measurement is. So I want like 6.25 to get 5 pounds of this. I should have got another bigger bowl out, I guess. Okay, we're almost 5. See, a good handful like that is about 1 pound. Yep. If you were going to eyeball it, if you had to. Or... There we go. 5 pounds. I need another bowl. I didn't get out enough bowls to do this street, but with bringing out the big old grinder, I only had so much room and a giant pork butt. Ignore that. It's fine. Yeah, that went back to 0. Wow. This sucker's doing good for its age. I feel like there was something I wanted to say about... It'll come to me. Okay, this bowl's gonna be lighter. Yeah, it's a cheap bowl. That's about a little around 11 ounces, so almost 3/4 pound. So basically you'll see what we have left here. So just a little over 4 pounds here, a little over 3 pounds. So 3 pounds, but a little over that. So that will be the breakfast sausage. This will be the Italian, the full 5 pounds. Why? Because I'm going to be stuffing these going forward, and I'm going to, the Italian obviously use the bigger hog casings, and with the breakfast sausage I'm going to be using sheep casings, I believe is what I've got on hand. You can't use lamb ones, they're even tinier, they're really thin. The sheep casings I found are about what you expect for when you see a sausage in the UK or Australia or something that's like bangers, more of a thumb size instead of a finger size, I guess would be a way to describe the size of a breakfast sausage that way. So with the smaller casing, the breakfast lesser amount will go a longer way. And I know it's more flexible seasoning wise because I kind of do it more often. It's really nice to have in the house, whether you're making patties and freezing them for on the go or what. So I need half of this Italian seasoning. So there's a couple ways I could do this. I could add up everything we put in there and then measure out what half of it is. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons. So like 8 2/3 of a teaspoon or a tablespoon of the seasoning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that's how much is in there. So I'm going to take some out. I got to about half. Because I wanted, it was 8 2/3, I wanted 4 1/3. That's about what we got. 10 pounds takes 2 cups of ice water, so I'm going to put a cup of ice water in this. I had previously measured this and it did have ice cubes in it. They have just melted. And the breakfast sausage. Let's go ahead and measure that seasoning in now too. We had about 3.5, and I already know it's about 2 tablespoons a pound. I'm going to do 5. Or almost 5 tablespoons. And the water in that is 2 cups. But we're only doing less than half, so I'll put about 2/3 of a cup of water in that one. And like I said, it's to help mix the spices evenly, having that water and to hydrate your spices, so it's not going to significantly change your sausage if you have a little too much. I would err on the side of too little. It also helps it cook evenly when after it's cased anyway, because it steams inside while you're browning if you're grilling or if you're smoking, and just bringing it up to temperature. Hands are the best way to do this. Well, if you don't want it on your hands, you can do some stuff. You can use gloves, or I could throw this in my KitchenAid. But I prefer to just go ahead and use my hands, rather than, especially doing separate batches. If it was one batch, I'd probably throw it in the KitchenAid. But if I did it in the KitchenAid, I would have to wash the bowl. I only have one KitchenAid bowl, and wash the paddle, and everything else. Hi.
Hello.
You heating up coffee?
I am.
I would really like a cup of coffee. I do, I think it's in the living room, I'm not sure. It was Shakespeare.
Shakespeare's right here.
Okay, I brought it out there then. Okay, this looks pretty evenly mixed. So that's our Italian. I'm gonna put this in the fridge and I'll stuff it on a different stream. And then I'm gonna come back, wash my hands and come back here and mix up this Italian and actually cook, or mix up the breakfast and cook a little bit of it.
Do you want me to take that bowl for you? Or does it need, like, wrapped or something?
It needs to go in the fridge, but it needs to have like
Okay.
foil or something put over it.
Okay. I'll see the reheat anyway.
Thanks.
I got you.
Hot Italian. I went with hot Italian
Nice.
and breakfast.
I mean, you can have hot Italian for breakfast.
Which one? Can I pick any hot Italian?
Sure. I mean, if she's my type, share.
We're not right in the head.
That's giving away more than usual.
Yeah. We live in North Carolina. We could get arrested for that. Fairly certain. Mark those carefully if you're not as spice savvy. I'll be able to smell these and tell which is which. I'm not too worried about mixing them up anytime soon before I package them away. The only thing I might need to reference back to is in the stream how much of each I made. 5 and like 3.5 or 4. Shoot. Well, anyway. Oh no, I don't have to worry about the breakfast because I know it takes about 2 tablespoons a pound from giving it to people before. I already put the water in here. So, stirring the breakfast sausage. Nom 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 nom. I'm gonna start this pan warming up. Oh, I know what else I was gonna say to you too. Okay. And I did exactly 5 pounds of Italian, so I know the seasoning I have left over is 5 pounds worth, and I'll just measure that. And next time I make it, I won't have to mix the spices at all. I'll have them pre-made. Pork butt. So, like I said, if you're using game like venison that doesn't have any fat, you can ask your butcher if they don't have it in the case to just give you some pork fat. They usually have trimmings and are often happy to sell them to you, especially if it's a small local butcher. Or you can go to a place that does venison, like sausage grinding for people that hunt, and they can probably help you source that kind of thing. I find that for about any sausage, thank you, dear. Coffee. I needed more coffee, more stream.
So that I didn't foil your sausage making efforts.
We don't have any plastic wrap. You're funny. Dad jokes. That's what I get from my sous chef. I find your standard pork butt is a perfect ratio for all the sausages I make. I haven't had to buy anything separate unless I made summer sausage, and that was with beef, and I had to use a different percentages of fat to get to the right proportion I wanted that was listed in the recipe. Also want to recommend some good sources. For equipment, the sausage maker in Buffalo, New York. They ship just about everything you could need. I have good experience with their equipment. My stuffer's from somewhere else, but my grinders from them. This book you can get from them. They have other books on like fermenting and pickling. And I mean, this is an area of Western New York that has a large population of Eastern European immigrants. So, like, you could go to the Broadway Market in Buffalo and get the most amazing sausage. I just love it. It's part of why I started making my own, because I'm accustomed to going to like holiday Polish from Redlinski at Easter and Christmas every year, because they do Polish sausage all the time, but the holiday ones have like more garlic. It's a beautiful smoked kielbasa. But there's an Italian festival in the Hurdle Avenue neighborhood of Buffalo where you can go get fantastic cannolis and sausage. And so there's just a lot of old country recipes that traveled with the communities that immigrated to Buffalo over the years. And I guess I was spoiled. I moved down south, and it's just the area I'm in, but I couldn't find good Polish to save my life. You can find, now that we have a Publix, they have some in the store, but I couldn't find it at all. And looking for stuff like kielbasa, it was like all Hillshire Farms, which really, it tastes like salt and fat, period, to me. And breakfast sausage is pretty decent down here. But, I mean, you can get Bob Evans or whatever, but I promise that making your own is worth it. And it's super affordable. Pork butts on the regular go on sale in the grocery stores here for 99 cents a pound. So even with the bone-in ones, that's cheap. And buying ground pork is generally cheap if you just buy a pound to make it yourself. But doing the spice blend yourself, you can ask, you can ask my family. I would say they're not biased, but they are, I guess. But, like, Stormy Sooner, who comes into my chat, she's had my breakfast sausage. Brian Ibbett, also known as Coverville, he's had my sausage. Shave Maddox, Shane, a lot of people have had breakfast sausage because I brought it to meetups. And it's just good compared to the store. And you can customize some stuff. So I should have mentioned, I didn't do with this. I may or may not. Maybe I'll split the batch when I'm stuffing this. But I've got some maple sugar. And you can add a little maple sugar, and then you've got maple breakfast sausage. I wouldn't add syrup to it. That's going to really cause issues with scorching and the liquid content being different and sticky for stuffing compared to just a sugar that will dissolve but give you that maple flavor. Yeah. So, can you see what I'm doing here? I'm frying up a patty so we can give it a taste. And that will also allow for any adjustments I want to make. I also wanted to just share with you guys, like, I want the stream to be not all day long, not taking up your whole day. I value your time, but showing you that you can do this and come away with something to eat. Right away if you want, but look at a lot of things you cook. Often better the next day, right? Sausage smells good. That's a good indicator. Is there room to put this in the fridge right now? I gotta move some leftovers and shit out of the way. This one's better than I thought. Hopefully I'm moving around. And other than the whatever muscle owies I've got going on in my back, my pain is lessened. I don't know how much it is meds kicking in or how much it is moving around to show you folks how to do stuff. Now, and you can see the grain of it. You could do a coarser grind for this if you like, but then it's more prone to fall apart. And the finer grind on this one gives you a little more control on if you want to do like a sausage gravy. How much you want it broken up and how much you don't. I can grab a fork, because, why would I do that? I will probably leave out, I won't stuff all the breakfast sausage, because, and I may only stuff one on string, because it's really the same process. Just the one casing size is larger. And I'm going to leave some of the breakfast sausage loose, and I'm planning a future stream where I talk about how to make a roux, how to do a basic bechamel, white sauce, which I may make two things. I may whip up some sausage gravy with the sausage, because that's one, I feel like, a very good way to demonstrate it, but also homemade mac and cheese that people may or may not find worth doing. So what are we looking at here? Hour 20, an hour and 20 minutes, and this is almost done cooking, ready to taste. I'll turn it down. Not bad for grinding up a whole freaking pork butt, right? Does that show you how super quick it would be to make your own homemade sausage? And you just bought a pound, ground a pound of meat, or bought an already ground pound. I'll let it cool off. How awesome is it? My husband brought me coffee. I have coffee with my sausage. Look at all the seasonings. I don't know what this plate is for, by the way. On my grinder. I suppose I should look it up. I don't know. If it were a different kind of grinder blade, I would think inside there, it's for cabbage or something, but I don't think so. Because it would be just so pulverized in that kind of grinder. I'll do the research, but if somebody knows, let me know. Another good resource for sausage information is Two Guys in a Cooler. It's a YouTube channel. I got something on deck to listen to from them because of research I'm doing for something. All right, let's taste this and then I'll let you go. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for being here. I hope this was helpful to you. As always, I welcome any and all questions in the Discord where you can join our community. Okay, 193 followers. I actually see that right now. So 7 more. Tell your friends, and I'm going to give away a cookbook. I'm going to keep doing that the way I did it this time, and you can go to my Discord. I have a giveaway channel where you'll be able to just click one button to enter. Okay. Just got a kick. Um, got the sage, the nutmeg and the ginger. They just do a thing you can't describe. They don't taste like themselves anymore, but they definitely need to be in there. Rob, can you taste this? For me, it's a little saltier than I'd like, but I'm not a great judge of salt. And I know I undersalted based on the measurements and using kosher.
Which is this, the breakfast or
Breakfast.
the spicy?
It's spicy breakfast. Is it too salty?
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay. I like salty.
I know you like salty. And in something like the sausage gravy, that's going to get neutralized and be fine. But I'm also doing links, so that wasn't the blend. I know this seasoning blend is foolproof. That was me failing at the math and then doing it super carefully. I probably should have put less in and tasted it and then put more in. Kind of common sense. You all know better, right? So I may go get some previously ground pork and throw it again in and readjust it that way before I stuff it, because stuffing is a commitment. See, chance of failure. But you won't do that, right? You're gonna. I turned that up to max instead of off. You're gonna math more carefully, right?
It's not too salty. But it is saltier than you usually make. I'd use that on pizza.
Well, I like breakfast pizza, but you don't like breakfast pizza because you won't eat eggs.
Well, I mean, it's got the spiciness to it. Like, I'd put it on like a pizza that Fletcher and I were making at home or something.
Well, I've got spicy Italian for that too.
Yeah. But that'd work really well on pizza as well.
I think I'm gonna get some ground pork and tone that down a little before I stuff it, because I'm gonna stuff most of that.
Okay. Yeah, that'd work.
Maybe add some maple sugar. It is tasty. It's not an offensive amount of salt or anything. It's just super seasoned. So anyway, yeah, I hope you join the Discord. I hope you get in on the giveaways. I hope you tell your friends, and they come follow me too. I hope you show up in January and watch me in this competition. I don't know if any of the voting is up to the audience, but I would love to have, your emotional support. So yeah, see you in the Discord. I'll be on tomorrow or the next day, not sure, for my streamversary and to stuff some of this delicious sausage and hopefully demystify that process, because you can do it too. I look forward to cooking with you soon.